Just want to give you guys a quick reminder of what vertex is from 8.1. Vertex, remember, was that highest or lowest point on a parabola. So regardless of it facing down and having a maximum or facing up and having a minimum, you're still going to have a vertex. So that axis of symmetry, now that we're learning, is going to be this imaginary line that goes through a parabola and cuts it perfectly into two symmetrical pieces. So if I give you a graph and I ask you to find the axis of symmetry by using the zeros, you won't really be using this method very much. It's just kind of showing you on a graph how they relate. So I would make a note of this picture and that you're finding the axis of symmetry. So identify the x-coordinate of the vertex. So this vertex here is 2, 0. That ordered pair of this highest point in this case is 2, 0. So the x-coordinate is 2. Well, we just said that the axis of symmetry is a vertical line that's going to go through that vertex. So that axis of symmetry is x equals 2. It's important to remember that a vertical line has the equation format of x equals a number. So every time vertical lines, their equation is x equals a number. They have an undefined slope. So yes, this does also represent the equation of this line of symmetry. Alright. So now this vertex is down here. So I'm going to look at where my x-intercepts are and figure out where the middle is. When this says average, it's saying middle. So what x value is this x-intercept at? It's at 1. And this is at the x value of 5. Well, what is halfway between 1 and 5? You go 2 this way and 2 this way. You end up in the middle at the x value of 3. So that axis of symmetry is the equation x equals 3. Another way you could have done this was how I did the last one. Identify the vertex, and that ordered pair is 3, -8. And notice how that x value on that vertex will always match the axis of symmetry. So your final answer is noting that the axis of symmetry is x equals 3. Alright, so now this is going to be more of a focus in making sure we understand how to find it without a graph. So make a note of this whole section up here. I would pause maybe this video now and start writing some of this. So for a quadratic function y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, the axis of symmetry is the vertical line x equals -b over 2a. And so this is your formula for the axis of symmetry, because if you don't have a graph, you do need a way of calculating it. This a and this b in this formula are following the same a and b from the format, standard form. So example 1. I'm always going to get in the habit of identifying a, b, and c. A here is 1. A, B, and C should all be values, no variables. B is 3 and C is 4. So now I'm going to plug in A and B into this formula. So negative carries over from this formula. I'm always going to use parentheses when plugging in so that I'm careful. B is 3 and A is 1. B is 3 and A is 1. So now I can just tack that negative in with the numerator. It doesn't matter. where you put it, whether it's in the numerator or the denominator. So I'm going to have negative 3. 2 times 1 is 2. So that axis of symmetry is negative 3 over 2. And that's it. So just be aware of this negative sign from the formula. Sometimes it causes a easy mistake, so just be careful with that. All right, let's go ahead and start number 2. I want you to identify A, B, and C. A is 2, B is negative 6, and C is 1. So once again, I'm getting this A, B, and C every time from the standard form A, B, C. Okay, so my formula, I'm going to write it again. X equals negative B over 2A. Negative from the formula comes over. B is negative 6. See how you want to be very careful with all these negatives. 2 times A, which is 2. What's a negative times a negative? It's a positive 6. 2 times 2 is 4. We do want to reduce this to 3 over 2. So your final answer for that one, your axis of symmetry is 3 over 2. You can write it as a decimal if you want, but most of the time you're going to see me leaving it as a fraction. Alright, so I'm going to pause this video now and let you guys try these. One thing really quick before, I said this in the 8.1 video, you want to make sure that you are you put number 4 in standard form. So back to the polynomial, standard form is always putting its highest degree first. So you want to reorder this: negative x squared plus 5x plus 7 first, and then identify A, B, and C. This one already is in standard form. So I'd like you to go ahead, identify your A, B, and C for both of these, and follow these same steps on finding the axis.